that story.
Harry, for the 50th anniversary, an independent company, Otherworld Media, came up with the idea to redo War of the Worlds. And they have done just that with Jason Robards during the Orson Welles role and Steve Allen, and even longtime CBS anchorman Doug Edwards in the cast. It'll be broadcast on public radio this Sunday.
Those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars.
Should we bomb them back to the Stone Age?
It is all too evident that these creatures have scientific knowledge far in advance of our own.
This is the end now.
The latest report, 120 known survivors. This will upset the country again.
A nationwide panic is not what this production is after. The new version of the War of the Worlds simply hopes to revive radio drama.
Radio is still a very important thing. You have to let the words carry you. The right words are the most important thing.
Dr. Pearson, what was their weapon like?
A heat ray. My guess that in some way they're able to generate an intense heat in a chamber of absolute non-conductivity.
But if this looks like a movie set, it's because it's being recorded at George Lucas's Skywalker Ranch in an attempt at the ultimate radio realism.
Please.
We're moving this medium into the 20th century. We are taking it on the road. We are recording on location. I mean, that's something that I don't think anyone has really ever done before with it. We're treating it like a cinematic event, cinema for the mind.
So the latest of high-tech recording systems is being used.
This thing is so cutting edge that even I don't know how it works.
Randy Tom, the sound designer of many films, including The Empire Strikes Back and The Right Stuff, is in charge of the recording, and David Osman is the director.
We don't have to record wind and fill it in later on. This machine appears, you don't see it, but it's always there. It's there down here, right? So what we're doing is just recording exactly the way television or film is recorded. It makes our production easier, and it makes it real.
In the interest of making it all sound real, David Osman hooked up CBS News veteran Douglas Edwards in Tallahassee, Florida, with Steve Allen in New York via satellite.
Very bad news, Doug.
Steve Allen remembers listening to the broadcast in Chicago when he was just 17.
When we heard that they were sighted in the skies over our city, we thought we should get out. That was a pretty irrational response. Get out where? You know, if we could get out to Cleveland, it might have made some sense, but just to get out in the street made no sense. Nevertheless, that's where we were immediately headed.
Are people going to head that way this Sunday night? This crowd of unsuspecting picnickers was recruited to play the voices of frightened citizens. And they certainly let their imaginations run wild.
The monsters in your mind are far more terrifying than the ones that anyone can visualize for you.
So even today, it seems that a suspension of disbelief is possible. And perhaps that's still what radio can do best. Tomorrow in the small town of Grover's Mill, a commemorative monument will be unveiled by Howard Koch and by New Jersey Governor Thomas Kean. We have the very first sneak preview of the monument this morning. Joining us live from Grover's Mills is Douglas Forrester, chairman of the commemorative committee. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
I guess that's the monument we're seeing right there.
It certainly is.
What does it say?
We have a bronze monument which was sculpted by Jay Warren, which is a fine example of what we're trying to portray here. We have the three main elements of the celebration. We have the spaceship, we have Orson Welles at the mic, and we have an American family listening to the radio. You know, one of the important things here that we're trying to point out is that this is not just a little local event. Grover's Mill is part of West Windsor, but it really has become part of the national consciousness because of the significance of what happened that night. It really was a national event.
But the people in Grover's Mill were somehow seen to have panicked more than the rest of the country. You don't see it that way, do you?
Well, there were very few people here in Grover's Mill back in 1938. Most of the reports of the panic were reports from the West Coast, Manhattan, and northern New Jersey. There are certainly amusing anecdotes that come from this part of the country as well, but this town responded the same way everybody else did, which is one of the main reasons that we wanted to commemorate the golden anniversary. We're having a good time. We're commemorating the only place the Martians have landed. That's worth a good party.
You're also going to put a time capsule in, I understand, that will be dug up again on the 100th anniversary. What's going to be in it?
Yes, we are. You can see the time capsule to my left. The time capsule will contain mementos from those in our Grover's Mill Circle who have helped us with the celebration, as well as some school children and some public remembrances. That'll be unearthed on the 100th anniversary in order that we can continue to remember what is a very unique piece of Americana.
Douglas Forrester, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend out there. Howard Koch, thank you as well. It's 22 past the hour. Coming up, Friday at Home with Anthony Perkins.